With the holidays fastly approaching, I mean, they're right around the corner here at this point. This is a happy, joyous time for us, right? For you and I. And I know it's stressful in that, but hey, at the end of the day, it's happy. Giving, receiving gifts, the whole 9 yards, great. But we all have that one person in our lives, typically a coworker. We'll call him Jimmy. Jimmy's like 122 years old, should have retired about 60 years ago, and his goal around this time of year is to bring somebody down. He's always like, what's the point of this holiday music? It's all, it sucks. And then 10 minutes later, you hear Jimmy whistling Jingle Bells. He thinks he's all alone in his own little world, just... Jimmy, were you just whistling Jingle Bells? Welcome back, everyone. My name is Dave. This is Callie's Groom Room, the channel that's all about grooming and fragrance. So, at any point in time, if you dig the vibe, subscribe, hit the like button, notification bell. Oh, little tip about that notification bell. It's actually not there. It's down there. So there's two tips. One, it's down there. The second tip is turn that thing to all so that you get reminded each and every time I drop new content here to the channel, because I'm not really that predictable. You never know when I'm going to come into this whole YouTube space and drop some new content, and that's a way to stay reminded. So, anyway, the agenda for today's video. What are you watching? These are 10 fragrances that will put you in the holiday spirit. So, if you are one of those folks that I mentioned in the beginning of the video, like Jimmy, these will definitely boost your mood, lift your spirits, and they'll make you do this. I don't know why I keep doing that. I'm trying to lift something in the air that's not really there. But anyway, guys, we are going to get started here. I have more than 10, actually. I have designer, I have niche mixed in. I have more than 10, but the algorithm likes when we put 10. That's the only reason why I did that. But first, we're going to start off with an honorable mention. I don't have a full bottle of this. There is reason for that I'm not going to get into in this video, but it is from the house of Amouage. This is Royal Tobacco. So this is actually really, really good. So here you're going to find some honey, licorice, which kind of comes across like anise. Think like Sambuca or something like that. That's kind of like what it reminds me of. There is definitely a boozy feel here. It's very smoky. It's very resinous. This, to me, gives me the idea or feel of a holiday candle. It's something that you would expect to walk into somebody's home and have that kind of smell to it. If you've smelled this fragrance already, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, one thing I do want to note here, I don't own a full bottle of this. I'm on the fence if I want to make a full bottle purchase, and I'm going to explain that further in more detail when I do a full review of this here shortly. So definitely keep your eye out for that video there. Honorable mention, Amouage Royal Tobacco. So kicking off the list proper, you cannot do, well, at least I don't think you can do a video and not include this fragrance. It's just like a staple piece for this the holiday season, and when it comes to videos such as this. So we are talking about Burberry London. This stuff is amazing. So in here you have spices, like warm spices. So think nutmeg, think cinnamon. I'm not suggesting those individual notes are in here, but that's just what I smell. I smell what I smell. You smell what you smell. And don't let anybody tell you anything different. So I'm also getting like this kind of dried cranberry feel. And maybe that's because it reminds me so much of the holidays that my brain kind of defaults to that feeling, But I also get this distinct smell of a Douglas fir, like a Christmas tree, Definitely has that feel to it. It's herbaceous too. This stuff is just so good. Now, you're going to see a lot of people comment that this one doesn't have the greatest longevity. And while that is true, I would never, ever tell you to ignore something that smells great just because it doesn't perform well. Who cares? I will give you a little tip, a little piece of advice here. If you guys have a scarf and you're planning on wearing that scarf with an outfit, like you're coordinating your outfit there, definitely grab your scarf, spray it down with this, let it rest overnight, and you are going to smell fantastic. This stuff actually does latch on to wool and any type of fibers like that very, very well. Not going to be the most projecting, but when somebody comes close to you, they're going to just recognize how great you smell. That's Burberry London. This one is going to be an oddball here, but just bear with me. I'm talking about Sartorial from the house of Penhaligons. Yes, how does a fougere remind you of the holidays? Well, it's because of its aromatic and herbaceous spices and the feel. Yes, there's lavender here. It's a bit barbershop-like. It's just classy, refined, sophisticated. It smells great, but yes, like I said, the herbaceous spices and those tones that I explained or described there for you, I'm sorry. This fragrance just gives me the idea of a dapper gentleman wearing a wool suit, just dressed to the nines, well-coordinated outfit, nice haircut. And yeah, that's just what this reminds me of. So I think that this fragrance is also cold weather appropriate. I think it does the best in fall and winter, and I love wearing this around this time of year. You know, there's also honey in here, beeswax also, which adds a very nice contrast to the herbaceous tones and the spices and things like that. This is a fantastic fougere. If I would have to take all of my fougeres right now and give you like my top 5 like that, this would definitely fit within that top 5. I love this stuff. It's Sartorial from Penhaligons. I highly suggest you guys get your nose on this if you haven't. The next fragrance up here is a darling within the community. So many people adore this fragrance. They talk about it, and that's why I finally decided to pull the trigger and add it to my collection. This is a recent acquisition of mine and something I've been enjoying. This is Salvatore Ferragamo Uomo. I really enjoy this stuff. It's very synthetic, but it's very good. Now, I get more of a coffee, sweet, creamy, vanillic tone with some spices. I'm going to guess maybe cinnamon. Cinnamon is what I would contribute to the composition here, just because of the warm, spicy kind of feel. So I could be wrong, and that's fine. It doesn't really matter to me. But one thing I will say about this is there is this famous thing about this that is a tiramisu accord. Now, what I will say, I'm 100% Italian. I've eaten a fair share of tiramisu, and it is actually my favorite Italian dessert. This does not smell like that stuff tastes. And I get it. We're comparing food to fragrance. However, I have to be a little bit of a critic here just because, but it still doesn't deny the fact that this stuff smells incredible, because it does. It smells great. It's perfect, warm, kind of sensual fragrance to wear around this time of year. And you could find it, relatively affordable. What, around like that $45, $40, $50 price point, something like that. I would not spend over $50 for this because it's just not worth it at that point. But if you could find it around $40, definitely worth grabbing. It is Salvatore Ferragamo, and it is Uomo. Next, we're going to go to a niche fragrance that, this fragrance house is respected in the community, and it's talked about quite often. However, this fragrance has almost no traction, and I don't understand why. It's from the house of Gallagher Fragrances, and this is Septamber. This is phenomenal. I love it. Now, what I will say is this is a dark, mysterious fragrance. So, if you like dark, mysterious fragrances, I highly suggest you try this. Now, what I will say is this for everyone? No. And you're going to see things like dried fruits, apricot, I believe. You even when you read the description on the website, it says like tobacco, and there's a red wine accord, I believe. There's also some black tea here. So it sounds like it's going to be a combination of fruity meets sweet and amber. All that is true, but you also have very dark, mysterious note of oak wood here. So yes, there is a sweetness here, but it's more of a sappy, drippy type of sweetness, not a sickly sugar sweetness, if that makes sense. This is another one that I do have in my list to review sooner than later, but this is a beautiful fragrance for this time of year when it's colder outside, and this actually does, because of all the dried fruits and the other aromas that this fragrance has with inside of the bottle here, it does remind me of family gatherings, because when we get together as a family, we do love our dried fruits. We love our wine, tobacco, a little celebratory cigar afterwards. After we eat, it's just one of those things. And that's what this fragrance reminds me of. And it's always great. And I always say it's nice when a fragrance can, take us to a better or a different place in time, I should say, a different place in time. But that's Septamber from Gallagher. I highly recommend you guys try it if you haven't. Going to a designer house now, you guys know this fragrance, dried fruits. I believe it's cacao and tobacco. I'm talking about Tom Ford, and this is Tobacco Vanille. So a beautiful vanilla tobacco fragrance. The tobacco is little, dry, ashy sort of tobacco. And I actually have a great affordable alternative for this. I did a full review of this fragrance. I just shook the camera. Sorry about that. I did a full review of this fragrance, and I'm going to tell you guys, Tobacco Pod from the brand For the Scent of It is a great affordable alternative to Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. Now, I know many of you probably clicked on the video because you saw this in the thumbnail and you wanted to hear me talk about Tom Ford. Listen, I love Tobacco Vanille. I don't care that it's talked about and hyped so much. I really love this. I love the dried fruits here in combination with everything else I already talked about. You get a similar feel here with Tobacco Pod. The only thing is the tobacco here doesn't come across to me as smoky. It comes across more of a natural smelling tobacco. Not leafy, but herbaceous. It's an herbaceous aromatic tobacco here, and the spices are amped up a bit more, and I get a heavy dose of clove here. So you have to be a fan of clove to be a fan of Tobacco Pod, but either way, you're going to smell fantastic and kind of get the same vibe from each other, But I wanted to include this just in case you're looking for an affordable option and you're not really into clones. This is not a clone house. This is not a clone. It's a great affordable alternative to Tobacco Vanille that I think you should check out. But either way, it's Tobacco Vanille or For the Scent of It Tobacco Pod, guys. The next fragrance is by far one of the best discoveries of 2022 this year. That's right. I met the brand's owner. I hung out with him for a bit amongst a crowd of other people, but at Scent Explorer, which was a fantastic time. But I'm talking about Primera Parfum, and this is Lion Oud. Now, shout out to my buddy Rico, fragged out, swagged out. I'll leave his channel link below, so you can go check him out. He turned me on to this one. He's like, bro, you got to try this. I fell in love with this at the first sniff, guys. This stuff is just, it's freaking incredible, guys. This chocolate, dried fruits. Are you kidding me right now? It's a little boozy. I don't know if there's a boozy note credited, but I get just a hint of booze here. There's two types of oud. There's Cambodian oud, and there's, I believe it's Laotian oud. It's actually Indian oud that's used here. Sandalwood, it's just a woody gourmand with oud. It's amazing, guys. This stuff is incredible. Believe it or not, I've got some attention at work wearing this stuff. Now, the way that I kind of describe it's a little smoky as well. I forgot to say there. Now, the way that I talked about the fragrance and described the notes, this wouldn't strike you as a work-safe scent, but it works. You just have to dial it down with the sprays because it's pretty damn powerful. I will say that. But this stuff, guys, you've got to get your nose on this. And now, especially here in the States, this is now available at Max Aroma, so definitely check out a sample and try Lion Oud. You're not going to be disappointed, especially if you're interested in a unique oud featuring kind of a gourmand style. Check this one out. Next one up is from a designer house here, and I'm going to go with Giorgio Armani, and this is Stronger With You, absolutely. Now, this fragrance, admittedly, is very, very hard to find, and I know sometimes that can get annoying when people mention fragrances that are hard to find. So what I will tell you is I finally had the opportunity to get my nose on Stronger With You Intensely. So if you could find that readily available at a discounter preferably, so this way you're not paying full price, get it there. Stronger With You Intensely is great. It's more of a gourmand with this kind of chestnut feel. This one here, what they've done is they've amped up the spices in here, but it's warm, spicy, and you have, come here. It's more of a warm, spicy, you still have that chestnut feel. It's lightly smoky with the amberwood, and I get more of a chestnuts roasting on an open fire with a little bit of booze, maybe some cinnamon, because there's definitely a spicy feel here. But guys, warm, spicy, boozy, what freaking more could you ask for around this time of year? This stuff is great. It really is. It's a little bit on the sweet side too. It's a little bit sweet, but it's not cloying. It's not sickly sweet. But the one thing I will say about this, unlike Intensely, this one is potent. And by potent, I mean 1 to 2 sprays max is really all you need to get the job done. If you go more than 2 sprays and you go out into the public wearing this, my man, shout out to you, man, because you're one savage beast. That's all I got to say. But Stronger With You absolutely is one that I definitely recommend getting your nose on. The next fragrance that I'm going to be talking about is a classic. It is a great fragrance. It comes from the house of Goutal, and this is Sables. Now, this fragrance contains this note of immortelle, and I've got to tell you, that note, it's amazing. So to me, immortelle is kind of like a combination of many things. It comes across honeyed, even a little bit of tobacco undertones I get from this particular note, but there's also a heavy dose of maple syrup that comes from just that one note. But I do detect many different facets, even I would say a little trace of citrus, but against that immortelle, you have other woods. I want to say there's hay in here, but again, I'm not too sure. And this stuff is incredible. I love this. Now, this is the unique Goutal bottle. Now, they've since changed the name over to Goutal Paris. It seems that this fragrance has been heavily reformulated. So if you guys out there, if you've sampled the new formulations, could you please let us know in the comments below if this has been heavily reformulated, because I'm not going to blow $135 just to do a side-by-side. It doesn't make sense for me. Plus, I have a ton of juice left in here, so I really don't need any more than this. So yeah, if you guys wouldn't mind letting us know, I'd love to read those. But guys, fantastic stuff here from the house of Goutal Sables. Love this stuff. Second to last one, guys. I'm almost done. So this is a gourmand. It's an expensive, pricey gourmand, but it is phenomenal. Phenomenal. This is Narcotica's Dolce Diablo. Guys, the hype is real. Trust me when I tell you. Again, with the dried fruits, with the chocolate, with the booze. Oh my God. Guys, this stuff is just pure gold. You have musk here. You have oud. The oud, I don't know, every time I say oud, I do that. And I don't know why. But anyway, it's kind of like lion oud in the sense that the oud here adds a nice kind of texture to the fragrance. It's not about getting that pungency from the oud. It's the other things just working together to create balance, you know? Just like I said with lion oud, is the same thing here. It's just balanced. It's beautiful. It's a sweet, sexy gourmand lover's dream that definitely puts me in the holiday spirit, and I know that it will do the same for you. So get your nose on this, sample it, try it, and the thing I want to tell you about this is this. I just said this like 6 times in a row, but anyway, it's a beast. This stuff is intense. It's very long lasting. This to me is like 3 sprays and you're good. Twice on the neck, once in front, just in case you cuddle up close to somebody and you want them to smell you. Just saying. Last but not least is my favorite fragrance of all time. This one has very special sentimental meaning to me. This will never be outshined by any other fragrance, and I specifically wear this on Christmas Eve every year. This is my Christmas Eve signature scent. That is Naxos from Xerjoff. Love this one. You have bright citruses to start. I believe it's bergamot. I could be wrong, but you know what? When in doubt, bergamot. Lavender, beautiful lavender, this leafy tobacco that it's known for. This stuff is just amazing. We can't forget about that boozy honey note here. Guys, I love this fragrance to death. I'm searching for a vintage bottle of this. Now, this fragrance really isn't that vintage, but I'm looking for the old bottle style of Naxos. So if you know a guy who knows a guy that may potentially know a guy, let this guy know. Okay? Okay. All right, guys. That's it for me. Those were my 10-ish fragrances that will put you in the holiday spirit. Listen, guys. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your holiday season. I hope that you and your family, I hope you're all healthy. I hope you're all happy. And I'll see you guys very soon. But until then, take care of each other. Respect everyone. Love each other, guys. Life is too short. And hey, let's face it. No matter what, we need each other, right? So let's take care of each other. Guys, I love you, and I thank you. I'll see you again really soon. Peace.